Hello and good evening, Norwich family. So it's our August 20th town hall. Thanks for joining us, those of you that are online. And we have a lot to update you on. I'm going to roll through our periodic updates here, provide updates on our status, how we're doing with COVID student reception and getting ready to launch the fall of 20 term. I'm going to talk about social media a little bit and also about some things that happened regarding our meal programs, just to provide some extra clarity and answer some questions proactively. And then we'll go through a couple pages of questions and answers or questions that were emailed in that I can get through for you. And we do have somebody monitoring the live question feed, and we'll get through as much as we possibly can. So, very good news, almost across all areas. We have identified some areas for improvement, and I will get through those. There are a lot of operating rules and standards that were put forth by our elected officials and public health professionals across our wonderful region, state, and our country, and we're doing everything very well in those contexts. Currently, our numbers, we have 1,018 students on campus as of this morning, Wednesday, the 20th of August. We got 121 more in today, and then we have the last 702 students programmed. The remaining in-resident population for fall of 20 will come in between 20 and 29 August. And we should have about 300 commuter students, maybe just over, for the fall of 20 term. Now, amongst that population, I want to go over the tests and where we are for how many we delivered, how many are currently active, infected, and then how we've cleared some from quarantine isolation. So first, we did test just over 600 faculty and staff, which was wonderful. We test more every day. We'll make sure everyone is caught up by the end of the month, and 0 have returned positive for COVID. We're testing all students as they arrive. Some have been tested multiple times depending on their status and when they arrived. And that's a total of 1,634 tests. So that's a total of 1,634 tests that were accomplished in just around 3 weeks. That's pretty remarkable, right? We're very proud of the team that negotiated that contract with our testing laboratory and the folks that are administering the test here on campus. So of those 1,634 tests, we did have 4 positives. Also, all of them were students and all arrived in the first weekend in 9 August. As soon as the 4 were identified, they were notified by the public health professionals. They were moved to quarantine and placed under the care of the medical professionals that we work with to ensure the highest level of care. Under that care, 3 of the 4 have recently cleared all the medical monitoring, examinations, and follow-up tests, and they're actually all back on campus. Now, these 3 students that cleared the medical process and were released, they are healthy and they're no threat to the campus community. Some students were challenging me on, well, why would we let them back in? Aren't they going to get us all infected? The answer is no. They are of no risk to anyone. They have cleared all protocols and they have cleared all the virus testing accomplished by our doctor and his staff. So, they don't have cooties, and we should all treat them very well, and we should receive them into our campus with open arms. They've been heavily evaluated, and they're ready to be part of our community, and please treat them as such. So that means, of course, that we have 1 positive case, and we're aggressively monitoring that student with our health professionals, and we will take their advice on when they can come back into the campus community. So after each positive case, we launch into our contract tracing process, and that is monitored and administered by the state with our cooperation. And individuals that were in contact with the positive cases were identified, isolated, that went through follow-up testing and evaluation. And we did all the follow-up tests and did everything right and confirmed that there was no spread. So this was handled according to all rules and guidelines. And I just want to give that level of detail to demonstrate that things really are going very well. We're following our protocols, and we will remain very open and very transparent with everyone. Other issues about COVID, you can imagine there are plenty. We did get special masks for the faculty, and we're actually starting to distribute them. It looks like this. They're clear. I'm going to try. I'm being looked at like maybe this isn't the best idea, but I'm going to give it a whirl here. So as you can tell, we can, this creates a nice seal. I hope you all can hear me. Has a nice seal, and you can actually see the person speaking. So for our faculty, this would be very valuable. We were looking at the potential for the face shields, but they also would have required a mask anyway. So we want to give our faculty the best tools possible to teach. We came up with these, and I thank our faculty who led the effort to go ahead and identify these. So thanks for that. And I do want to also touch on our facility operations team, our FACOps, again. And I thank them every time I do a town hall. I'm going to thank them again. The dorms are ready. The classrooms are and other areas are getting addressed now very aggressively. Plexiglass, sneeze guards, much more. The sanitation equipment, obviously, the things they're doing, it really is a tremendous lift, and they're doing beautifully well. So everyone that's on campus, or if you're off campus and when you do get to come visit eventually, when you see a FACOps professional, just wave them down and say thank you. They're doing amazing things for us, and they're our front line at the moment, getting ready to launch. You know, obviously the faculty is doing amazing things, getting ready to teach their classes. I'm very grateful for their professionalism and all others. It's really been a remarkable level of effort to get where we are today. So I want to talk about social media for a minute. You know, we really do need your help here. You know, parents, if your students send you a picture of something or they reach out to you, you know, I ask you to do one of two things. You know, the first thing I would hope would be encourage them to reach out to their leadership here. You know, they have, if they're in the Corps, they can talk to their mentors, or they can use a commandant's chain. If they're civilian students, there's a whole group of folks they can talk to help advocate for them. But we really want them to advocate for themselves so that we can help develop better responses with them. And if you really want to intervene, you know, please reach out to us directly. You know, the stories that really explode on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and other places, you know, they're not, they don't help the student, they don't help us, but we can take better action if we're doing things a little more proactively here based upon feedback we get real time, instead of taking the social media with it all. And for example, another example, community members that are watching tonight, you know, I look at it every night. We have wonderful professionals in our Office of Communication. Daphne Larkin has a presence in social media to dispel rumors and address some questions. And there was a rumor that took off that we had positive cases, and we sent them into community to eat in restaurants and work downtown and shop in local places. You know, obviously that's not true. That did not happen. I would hope that we've built up the level of trust that no one would have accepted that as being true. But we're very open and honest about everything. We will continue to do so. We consider ourselves to be partners in all this. So reach out if you have a question. But you know, if we can just control rumor spreading and perpetuation on social media, that would be probably better for all. And one issue that did get legs on social media was the long lines at the dining facility and rumors that basically implied we were starving our students, which I can assure you we are not. So some of the responses and to the questions that came up in social media, but also to some questions that were emailed in, here are some no kidding responses, okay? Someone asked, have we looked at they implied that there's a problem with Sodexo as our food service contractor, and said that there are complaints with students over the last few years. So there is a survey conducted every year with Sodexo, and a new chef was hired in fall of 19, and every term that we conduct this survey, we actually improve customer satisfaction rates. We are well above the New England region in customer satisfaction, and we're 15% higher for customer satisfaction from before spring break, so just in this calendar year. So we're at 76% as an overall satisfaction rate, and like I said, that's up significantly. We'll keep chasing that trend up through very aggressive interaction with our students and our professionals. We have a dining committee that has representation from the Corps cadets and our civilian students at all class levels, and they will bring feedback and suggestions, and they're kind of the steering committee that we use as an institution for future dining improvements. So encourage students from all lifestyles, please encourage your representatives to bring things forward, your suggestions. Sodexo has been very responsive to those suggestions. So it was requested, will you please explain the meal schedule? This is one of the things that they believe they were only going to get a hot meal 3 times a week, and why can't they get double entrees? We can't, you know, what can they get seconds, and why can't they get seconds on the single swipe? The other question was, you know, basically, why does my son only have 3 days chow 3 days a week? And talk about calorie considerations for body sizes, strenuous activities, etc. So it's not 3 times a week. All students have access to 19 meals per week. Now we have to spread out the number of students using the chow hall, obviously, because we have to densify. So we can't do the dining facility the way we always have. And we can only have about 65 per meal in there. And then if we have a rush of folks that want to get to sit down at one time, they have to wait outside. And then after every meal segment, everyone leaves and Sodexo then sanitizes the facility. So you can imagine how this becomes very problematic. The picture that was posted on social media was when about 500 people rushed the dining facility, and obviously we can't accommodate them and meet the rules for social distancing. So some folks were given the time to go and they didn't, and they went at the time to go with their friends, even if they had different times that were designated. So that has been designated on their meal cards. There is a sticker that tells them when they should eat, and if the students follow those rules, they will be in good shape. So other systems that will go into effect on 31 August, which will be the first day of classes, we're amending the chow times based upon everyone's class schedule. So as add and drop periods come and go, the meal times will adapt. So for example, if the student has class from 7 to 11 a.m., they won't be scheduled for a breakfast on that day, but they can go to the cadet card office, and if they want to get scheduled for a breakfast or other options, the cadet card office can make all these corrections. There's also a tent outside of the Wise Campus Center, and every arrival day, the tent will be active and staffed, and they'll get a sticker to get their meal time either initially assigned or adapted if need be. They have to have the sticker on their meal card by August 30th. So if you're a student and haven't done that yet, make sure you're done by the 30th. That'll be after our last arrival day. And if you're a current student and need some adaptation to your current schedule, please go to the card office and have that addressed. We also have the Partridge Pick 5. It's 11 to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. You get a water, entree, and 3 sides for each swipe. And each Pick 5 gets 5 items per bag. You get, like I said, the water. You get an entree, which is a chicken Caesar salad, a buffalo chicken wrap, a turkey and cheese sandwich, or other options. And 3 sides includes fruit cup, veggie cup, Oreos, chips, string cheese, yogurt, and other options. The calorie count on each meal is between 600 and 900, depending on what you pick. And it's a good option if they can't get to the sit-down option for chow. And the daily grind is starting up on August 31st. 7 to 1 p.m. you can get a bag breakfast for a single meal swipe. So lots of options, and they'll be expanding as the semester gets to launch. And please, encourage students, go find out what's best for you. Follow your meal times. This will be a lot easier for all of us. No later than tomorrow, which is the 21st of August, you'll be able to view your assigned meal times on the Bannerweb Student Services menu under meal assignments. So if you look at it and it doesn't fit what you think your schedule should be, go to the card office and have it adapted, okay? I hope that answers a lot of the concerns and questions from parents and from students, but one thing to remind everyone, this is not like any semester we've done this before, and we're asking everyone's patience as we work through it, and we're asking our students to follow the times that they're given, so we don't have a slam at the dining facility, because we can't let more than a certain number into that building, or we'll violate the rules and we'll have to face some other challenges about staying open. So other things about getting seconds. So if you're a person who requires extra calories for whatever reason, you can get extras. The way it used to go is you get your initial meal, you sit down, then you come back through and get seconds. But we have to keep everything moving in one direction to decrease the ability or the likelihood you'll run into people and be too close inside the facility. So if you want seconds, ask the Sodexo employee, I would like 2 portions, please, and they will accommodate you, okay? So ask the question. As you're going through, just understand you can't come back through to get extra meals, because then you're messing up the flow, and that's going to influence our distancing protocols, which is going to cause other problems. So just get your extra portions at the initial serving moment, okay? Students and parents, I hope that is helpful. Okay, I'm going to move through the written Q&A, and we move the clock based on some feedback to be in front of me, so I don't have to look over to the side. So thank you for that that suggestion from virtual land. Excuse me, I've been talking all day. Okay. So I love the first question of this week. It says, how is the health and morale of the Norwich family? And I appreciate that question very much, because the answer is, I'm looking around the room, we're all very tired. It's been a rough couple of weeks. It's been a rough month, right? It's been a rough few months. I've only been here since June, but this has been a tough period of time for everybody. The receptions that we've been running, those are those are long days. Those are 12-hour days, set up, tear down, and reception of folks. I really want to thank the students and parents and mentors, family members that stopped to say thank you to some of our folks that are out there working. I mean, I wish I could convey to all of you with enough emotion and detail about how hard everyone is working to pull this off. But like I said, we're really, it's been a lot. You see a lot of other colleges out there that are failing. We don't root for other schools to fail, but we're very proud of the fact that so far so good here at Norwich. We're not going to be complacent. We're not going to rest on our laurels. It's going to be a very hard push to get through this fall term as one community. So, thank you for asking the question. I do want to also call out all of our volunteers that come in on Saturdays and Sundays, and they work a 12-hour day in addition to their regular job to do reception and to do traffic control and to do the greeting and passing out the parent bags that we give out, receiving and helping people carry stuff to their rooms because we can't have non-residents in the dormitories. It's been a lot of work, and I really want to thank everyone. The athletic staff, unbelievable. I mean, I was out 2 days, and almost every traffic control point I found was a coach or a trainer or assistant coach. And they got a lot going on, and they're doing that in their own time. And I'm very grateful. This is not what any of us wanted, this COVID environment for a fall 20 term, but it's what we're dealing with. And it's going very well. Like I said, we're very proud. But now the students are back. I tell you, there's like another spring in the step, and the more student activity there are that's occurring outside. Today we had the band working. They were marching and playing, and it was wonderful to hear. A lot of drill commands being called, a lot of facing movements. Some of the folks out on the UP and on the Crescent. Now that the students are back, the faculty and staff and everyone that works on campus is just we're getting happy again, right? We're tired, but we're very, very happy. We'll get there. Other schools are not doing as well. But like I said, we're not rooting against them, but we're proud of where we are. And we're taking care of our people, any way that we can give back, that I can give back to our team here, we're doing. It announced this week that we're going to go ahead and fund, as an institution, the healthcare increases for our employees. The premiums went up, and instead of putting the burden on the individual, we're going to pay for them this year just to maintain take-home pay. There are furloughs and layoffs. A lot of schools are laying people off because their bottom lines are getting killed, but we're keeping the family together so far. And we're very, very fortunate that we're doing that, but we're very proud that we've been able to. The other things like funding other benefit programs like retirements, we're doing all those things because we're very grateful to what everyone is doing to help keep the school open. So what's the health and morale in Norwich family? Tired, proud, and happy to have the students back is the direct answer to that question. How's the arrival of the first cohort gone? Lessons learned. I think I kind of covered that. Every time we do it, we get a little bit better. Even traffic flow going up and through. We realized, it was a wonderful thing to realize, that our testing regimen for the students that run through the lines in the stations to get their COVID test was so efficient that we probably had too many people working it. So we're able to redivert some resources to do other stuff. But it's going very well. It's going very, very well. And we're applying lessons learned every time. The cutoff for the Vermont quarantine map that we're using, the cutoff is August 1st. Okay, so that's what the state published. That's what we went with. So on August 1st, based upon green, yellow, or red areas, that's the date we're using. If you're not sure about whether your county is what color it is, just call or contact Norwich Admissions or the Norwich Human Resources staff. They'll let you know. Okay. Will we have a count of positive cases for the university? Yes, we posted daily. Our Office of Communications is doing an amazing job of running through those numbers. And we will post it every day so everybody knows what's going on and what our current number is. Our current count is 1. And that's pretty amazing. I'm looking at Kathy Murphy right now and we're smiling. It's wonderful, but we're not going to hide anything, and we will post those that data as it comes up. If you see 1, that means it's 1. It doesn't mean it's 10 and we're hiding 9. Okay, it'll be the legitimate number. We had 4, now we have 1, so we'll have a way to encapsulate what our cumulative number was and then what our current number is, so everyone's very clear about where we are. Does Norwich have a real-time COVID dashboard that shows numbers and waves and things like that? Yes, it's on the website banner, and it's still just 1. So it'll be on the website as soon as you get onto the norwich.edu. There's a longer question about if a person is not a Vermont resident and has a positive test, does it get reported to the state of Vermont? And it goes through some very specific questions about that. I'm not going to go through it all, but the short answer is yes, because while they're here and students in our community, they're members of our community. So we are reporting them to the state of Vermont for contact tracing and other purposes. And that's being run by our healthcare professionals, and we're in full compliance with the rules that are expected of us. When will everything be open, like the library, bookstore, Dunkin' Donuts, etc.? Everything is currently open, fully operational. Of course, we have limits of how many people can be in one place in the one time, and that's that gets a little frustrating. But we have to be very careful about de-densification and how many folks are allowed in one spot. There is very clear signage that is posted regarding the amount of people can be in one place, and we ask people to wait outside, distanced appropriately until they can get it put in. There's a question fairly long about self-quarantining students having access to be time outside. And we know it's important to keep everyone safe, but we keep the masses safe and look out for the well-being of the individual. We will figure that out. We're going to work with the medical professionals and take their guidelines, right? They're symptomatic and asymptomatic, and the level of test and where they are on the protocols and things. It's really going to be individually based, and we got to take the guidance of our medical professional. If they tell us they got to stay in a room that's too high of a risk, we got to keep them in the room. But if they're in the right spot to be able to come out, we can figure out ways to make sure they're being gainfully engaged. And I got to share this. I went to the isolation building we have, where we were bringing folks out that were they were either symptomatic or they had contact with folks that were positive. Very good system, but it's near my home. That's off campus. And I made sure they had food, and I went to check on them, knocked on the door, stood way back, saw them with masks on through the door, and I asked, can I give you guys anything? You need a movie or Xbox or something? And the young lady said, I have a virtual reality machine, sir. We're all good. And it's remarkable to me how well they self-entertain. But we'll make sure no one feels isolated. Our counseling wellness center is tracking all this very carefully. They'll be very proactive to make sure everyone's mental health is right where it should be. And yes, I was 100% tempted to go into the quarantine facility to play on the virtual reality machine, but I did not. I stayed outside with my mask on. But I need to find her and see what that means exactly and do something. Comment on how to improve participation in social activities. Okay, so this person is saying they actually hosted something and they provided something and no one came. And I do my walkabout. There's this thing in the military called, basically, actually it's in every industry, I guess, leadership by walking around. So you just get out, and there's things called LPCs, which are leather personnel carriers, also known as boots. And you get out and you walk and you see stuff and you talk to people. I walked past that event. It looked like it was a cornhole tournament and a cookout, and it looked like it could have accommodated a larger group. And I think I saw like 7 people there. I have my opinions. There was country music blaring, which is not my favorite brand. So we had a great DJ and there was a mix of music. I'm just kidding, obviously, but it looked like a fun event. But if folks are tired, they have other things going on. I understand individuals are spending time to put on an event and the frustration of not having folks come attend. I would just say, let's do what we can. Tell us what you want to do, and we'll figure out ways to resources, advertise, and accommodate schedules to make sure folks get out there and participate. So please don't be discouraged. We'll have more things to do, and I very much appreciate the DJ and folks that set up that event and put the work in. I saw it was underattended. I'm sorry about that, but we'll keep trying, and we'll start leveraging the right experiences. Has a decision been made on whether to cancel fall and spring baseball? So we won't have fall competitive baseball, but the team is practicing and they'll have inter-squad games. There's a trick with all this that we have to make sure that whatever they do is in compliance with the NCAA rules, because we'd hate to do something out of whack locally and have somebody burn a year of eligibility when they're not playing competitively. So our wonderful athletic staff and our amazing coaches are being very careful about all that. To the question directly, we will not have fall competitive baseball. We have potentials for the spring. We're going to work very aggressively to have spring sports. We have the potential to do some fall sports in the spring. Waiting to hear from our conferences and from our athletic staff to see what they would like to do so I can support what they and our student athletes would like to do. It's preserving eligibility, play in the spring. We have facilities challenges like all schools. We have to make sure we have people to play if we decide to play in the spring, that we actually have a conference to play against, et cetera. So there's lots of challenges in here, obviously. and we have to follow the NCAA guidelines because I don't want to hurt any of our student athletes. So we have to be very careful. But baseball, not in the fall, possibly in the spring. We'll keep it posted. The logical next question that some of you just had is winter sports, hockey, basketball, swimming, diving, etc. We want to preserve, and we're going to try very hard to have those seasons go. We have to work with the conferences. We've got to watch the NCAA, and we really have to very carefully work with the state to make sure that we're not breaking their rules. Because you have to think about it too, right? We're going to take our team someplace. We put them all on a bus or in a series of vans, and we go someplace. Now they're in close quarters in a car, and they're crossing state lines. They play in a school. It's challenging, and we have to make sure we're meeting state guidelines, which right now we could not. And that's why we had to cancel sports in the first place. But we'll keep trying very hard. For any cadet that was told to stay home for the semester, typo there, will they have chances of getting promoted to a Rook leader position, or their chances will be affected? So everyone that has to stay home that's in the Corps that wants a leadership position, just make sure you're working with your assistant commandant to make sure they know your level of interest, okay? We would love for you to get leadership positions. If you stayed home in the fall involuntarily, we're going to have preferential return in the spring. So if you didn't have a fall position and you wanted one, you didn't come back, you should be advocating very aggressively now for the spring. We hope that we're back to normal in the spring. We should probably plan on being in a similar limited status. And if that's the case, there'll be positions opened up by folks that can't come back in the spring. So make sure, to that question, ask her and anyone else who wants a leadership position, make sure your assistant commandant knows that you want a leadership spot so they can start working for you. Have you talked with the commandant of cadets about keeping the traditions of the Corps, how Rooks are trained, recognition, and such? Do you plan on having a question and answer sit down with current cadets to hear their voices of concern? The last part I'll answer first. Yes, I'm going to sit down with everyone, every group, as soon as we're launching a semester and we're in a good place and the campus is safe. I'm going to sit down with every constituent group and talk about where they want to go, what they want to do. You got to remember, this is my first semester. You know, I don't have a normal, and this is the worst normal I could imagine as a new president, but it is what it is, right? But I want to hear what you want to keep, what you want to change, what's been great in the past that you've lost, etc. But for now, I'll tell you that Rook Week, Rookdom, and the Dog River Run, they're all still planned to go. Other events are going to be virtual. Obviously, we can't have certain events of mass groups on campus, but we'll work through that as best as we possibly can, okay? But events that are important to the cadets and the history and the traditions of our school, we are going to preserve. It's just how can we do it in this current environment is what we're working on very hard. Assessing the situation on campus, when will students be allowed to go off campus to get food or supplies? So everyone's rolling in. I gave you the numbers. We should have everyone on campus as of the 29th of August. Then we're going to do our follow-on testing the next week. Then I think we have a good picture of how we're doing on campus, right? We'll know the temperature measurements. We'll know the meta-analysis about where folks are or are not maintaining our standards, right? Everyone working together to maintain a healthy campus up until the first week of September is going to help me and the leadership team of the school make the right pragmatic decisions to keep everyone safe. You know, if we do everything so hard to get the campus open and then we loosen it up right away and everyone goes out and comes back and we have an outbreak, it's over in the second week of September. Why would we do that? I wish I could tell you how, you know, 20-hour days for 60 straight days just to blow it in the first week of September isn't the best plan, right? So we're going to be very careful, and we'll look at the numbers in the first week of September, and then possibly we loosen restrictions up just to go local. I got to talk to the town of Northfield. You know, if their numbers are great and our numbers are great and they feel safe, we can start loosening things up. If there's concerns on either side, we have to be very careful about how we get going, okay? So we'll have to evaluate the data. What I want to do is target 8 September as a date to really look at our numbers and then look at what we'll do starting the week of 14 September. If we have active cases on campus or if there are active cases in the community that have nothing to do with Norwich, it's just a natural state of things for whatever reason, you know, we'll have to keep things tight. If things are looking great, then we could talk about loosening up, okay? The important thing is, please hear me. If you help us keep the numbers right and we look after each other and we stay safe, we can do a lot more as time goes on. But please help me keep it safe and keep our numbers strong. I'm going to read this question verbatim because it's fairly specific. Going back to our earliest town hall in June after the George Floyd improper police conduct protest, I asked, and President Anarumo said we would absolutely be leaders in developing a way forward for a national solution. Question, how has the CJ curriculum been updated to address the academic pursuit of knowledge and identification of root cause and development of solutions. That's from one of our grads from the 80s. So our School of Justice Studies and Sociology really looks at disparity in the CJ system through core courses that are offered through the school. And also we have some profoundly professional and very well-established expert faculty. We're very, very fortunate. So the school is led by Director Morris and the Associate Director Gurian, and they're actively engaged in the development of new courses and how to augment existing courses across the curriculum. They're also working with other Norwich entities, for example, Department of English and Communications and our School of Justice Studies are going to work on a webinar for faculty about approaches to teaching our first read this year, which is called The Other Westmore. And this way we can get the students talking in a responsible and well-informed way about race and social justice. So to your question, I was going to say your name, but I won't do that live here. But I would appreciate the question, and please hear me clearly that our wonderful faculty are doing great things across different schools here to make sure we're handling this the right way. As students, we were inculcated with Norwich values that have served us well. What is the university doing or planning to do to enhance those values with what we might call life skills? Our society needs the ability to disagree agreeably and respect others irrespective of race, religion, ethnicity, and acknowledge issues stemming from slavery in our government and society's tolerance for discrimination. Other universities establishing some core courses. Financial literacy is another necessary skill many lack. Thank you. It's from one of our graduates from the 70s. I won't say his name, but I'll say he goes by Beetle. So if you know Mr. Beetle, please say hello. I just got some chuckles of acknowledgement in the room here, of fondness. So we have everything you just said, Beetle, is the foundation of the liberal arts education, and we're going to do it right here. And I absolutely agree that we have lost the ability as a nation to disagree respectfully, and we have to get that back. We have to. If we're going to be a functioning democracy, we have to get that back. And it's not going well at other college campuses, and we're going to do it better here. We're going to do it different. We're going to do it in a way that is a gold standard across higher ed, and it's all coming. We got to get the school open. We have a little thing coming up called accreditation, which is our right to actually award degrees, which is no small thing. That'll happen in September. And as we complete those monumental tasks, that we start our strategic approaches to complex problems like racial issues, disparity in our society, policing, and how we can restore the ability to disagree with respect and dignity. And we will do that again. There's lots of offerings across the campus. I just gave you a very direct answer to our the social inequity question. But financial literacy is an area that I share your passion, and I believe is something we don't do very well with our young people now, whether in high school or college. But we have great offerings here at the school. MG 230 is a course that we actually offer called Personal Financial Literacy, which I love. It's been very popular. We started offering it in 2 years ago, and it's very, very popular. We'll continue to offer that. And we also have new courses in computer programming. The new system is called Python, and that's the most up-to-date skill set we can give our students. Data analytics is another area that we're doing really widely accessible by students across all majors. These are the kind of life skills I think that you're getting at, and we're doing a very aggressive job in exposing all of our students to it. Also an MA 101, about 20% of the curriculum is on financial math, including compound interest and credit card misuse and those kind of things. And MA 212 also covers those topics. So that's a very specific answer to your question, but I will just offer to you that it's in the curriculum. We'll continue to expand it into the curriculum. The last few pages I have, I will just tell you before we go to live questions. Oh, see, I looked at the old clock. And then we have about 20 minutes for the live Q&A, and then I'll do the closing. But I have really 7 pages here of screenshots of social media, and I'm going to just ask everyone again, reach out to us for questions. Encourage your student to come to us with things that are on their mind, and we'll help them find their voice and help them get to the solution that they believe should happen here, okay? But social media is, I was going to say social media is the devil. I'm looking at my communications chief and she just rolled her eyes at me, but it's generally not helpful. So we would love for you to encourage your students to advocate for themselves, and if not, reach out to us directly so we can answer your question very clearly. Okay, thank you very much. And with that, we already have a very respectful stack. So I will go through these with great aplomb. How many civilian students will be on campus? Those numbers I gave were combination core and civilian student. I believe our numbers, about of our 1,800 and change, about 38% were civilian. So I'll give you that as a math problem, but it's about 35 to 38% of our population on campus will be civilians, if that answers the question. Anybody in this room want to correct me or add to that? 650? 600 to 650. Wow. Johnny on the spot. Thank you for that, good sir. Yeah. Feel free to write it on the card next time. Watch me do math. Can the staff get clear masks? Are they single use or reusable? Okay, it's called clear mask. I believe these are reusable. They're very clearly, I wish you could feel them, but it's a pretty thick piece of plastic, and it's a nice foam. I would say this is cleaned as you would any piece of plexiglass. If there is a need or requirement for this, now looking at our chief financial officer under whom facilities works, I will ask her. I think Dr. Kempkin is the one who facilitated the purchase of these. So for the staff who asked that question, we will get an answer out for availability and how many of these we can get. We're passing out the black masks, obviously, to everyone who needs them. I'll have to check the price point on these guys and see how many we can get responsibly. But they are, I just wore it. I mean, they're effective, obviously, for watching someone's lips move, which some of us need. Okay. So I would say reusable, and we'll look at getting them for a wider audience. Thank you. There is no contact info for the commandant staff, email, or phone on the website. Could you please help? I have to imagine that's on the website. I will look. I'm looking, and if it's not on the website yet, it will be. That's an easy thing to fix, and we will get that posted if it's not yet. Do you have plans to welcome back the rest of the students in the spring? Can't answer that yet. I would say if we're in the same situation, that we'll be in a similar situation of how we have to receive folks, which is not ideal, but we're able to do it very well. You know, what we do in the spring is going to be dictated by how this goes in the fall. If everyone follows the rules and we look after each other and we do things right, we'll have a lot more maneuver room in the spring. So please help me do it right, and maybe we can do more in the spring. The only thing I'll say to this question is, well, first of all, that piece, if we do it well, we can do it better in the spring and maybe get more. But if you were told you can't come back to campus this fall, remember, you have preferential return rights in the spring, okay? Hopefully we're back to normal, but if not, we'll do this in the most fair way possible. How do you determine a positive case is no longer positive? So someone gets infected, they get evaluated by the medical professionals. They're looking at symptoms. They're doing whatever tests they have to do, any evaluation. They're under pretty much full-time care by our folks internally, but also the Central Vermont Medical Center professional doctor that we use in partnership. And he says, this person is now clear to return to the population. They're no longer a danger of spreading infection. They're no longer contagious. Whatever standard is the professional medical standard, and I can say his name, right? Dr. Tim Partridge. Dr. Tim Partridge is a phenomenal medical doctor from a wonderful office of professionals. And Dr. Partridge will tell us when he says it's okay, we believe it's okay, because he's doing everything perfectly. So I hope that answers your question. Medically, I'm not that kind of doctor, as my daughter always reminds me. As a PhD with terrorism and political violence, I'm not the kind of doctor that helps people. I'm a doctor of thinking about stuff. So a doctor that helps people tells us when it's okay. Okay. A roommate arrived today. What was his quarantine requirements? My son has had 2 negatives. Yeah, so if we put somebody in a room with your child, I assume this is a parent, with your son, that means they went through the correct protocols, either upon arrival or upon arrival here. And then we do the subsequent test. And then we test over 700 people per week, every week, until everyone leaves to complete the semester after Thanksgiving. But if your son was negative twice and gained a roommate, that person is also safe. so you don't have to worry about them potentially getting infected. Will commuter students be tested? The answer to that is they accomplish the self-assessment every day, and that includes the temperature. And there's places on campus that they can get that done if they don't do it at home. And then they'll be allowed to participate in their classes, but they will not be allowed in dorms or other areas where the commuter students shouldn't be, especially the living quarters. But in classrooms, they won't be allowed on campus unless they complete the self-assessment every day they have to come on campus. How will campus restrictions affect work study? It's an excellent question. We're working very hard to accommodate work study. Part of the problem is we can't let our students into certain areas off campus. We're trying to create ways to accomplish work study on campus, and we're letting the students know as those opportunities come out. If they have to do work study off campus for degree completions or academic requirements, we work with the places where they need to accomplish their work study, and then sorry, that's okay, my fault. They work for the place where we work with that area, we'll supervise their departure from campus and reception back to campus, and then we'll do any subsequent questioning as required. So it's hard for me to answer that generically and generally because it'll be a very specific case by case effort. Can local parents come to campus to deliver items to their student? If not now, when? So I would say if you want stuff delivered to your student that can be mailed, just mail it because the mailroom's operational, they can get it that way. If it's larger items, we're asking folks not to come yet. Let's wait till we have that 8 September reevaluation of the campus environment. I understand as a local parent, you're asking because you're not at risk, right? But you can understand how we lose control of that very quickly. So let's wait, please, until the September 8th conversation about the operating standards on 14 September, starting that week, and we'll figure that question out with more clarity, please. Thank you. Are there any activities that would need a dress uniform this fall? I'm certain that there are. What do you think?
Well, I don't know if they're going to have regimental ball.
Yeah.
Only a couple.
So the events that require the dress uniform likely also insinuate a mass gathering, I would think. So let us shelve the answer to that question. If I could ask our note taker here to keep that in the pocket, and I'll answer that at the next town hall, which will be on September 3rd. Okay, because then I think we'll have greater fidelity of how we're going to pull these events off. And even if a event is virtual, but we still want to use a dress uniform in the virtual ceremony, that might be appropriate as well. So we'll work with the commandant's office. We'll see what he wants to do and what his staff wants to do, and we'll answer that proactively on September 3rd town hall. That's a good question. Okay. If a senior stayed home this fall, will he be able to have a spot in the spring? I would say generally yes. We did want freshmen and seniors to be able to be here. If it was a person who was not invited back, which shouldn't be the case for a senior, they would have preferential. If they stayed home voluntarily, then that's something that we should be able to accommodate. That'll be worked out as the semester goes on. I would tell you that if you're a senior on the civilian side, make sure the right folks and the dean of students know. And if you're a cadet, make sure the commandant and those offices know so that your name is on the list of folks that want to come back, okay? So if you're a senior or stayed home this fall, I imagine by personal choice, make sure we know early that you want to come back. Okay, thank you. Okay, about 8 more minutes here. What days does the Corps do PT? I think it's every day. It's pretty constant, and they're doing it in the right kind of groups. This has been beautiful for me because I get to go out there and I walk around with my LPCs, right? And I go watch folks working out. And if they're outside and they're close, doing close quarters, anything, they're wearing their masks. And then I see them running appropriately distanced and they take their masks off until they come back together and they put their masks back on, which is exactly what we're supposed to be doing. And that's beautiful. So the answer is, what days of the Corps do PD? It's every day. And it's being run by the appropriate level of professionals. And I've been watching and I walk around and it's beautiful, right? That's the kind of thing that we love to see again, is put us a spring back on our steps to be able to see them all out and about. Is campus closed? There's a fair amount of people traffic out of Plumley Gate. Yeah, so folks that work here and live in the local community, like me, they'll come in and out. I think the question is more about folks that come from off campus on. We have asked the local community to not come through the gate, to not come onto campus to walk their dog, use the track. The gym is closed to outside members right now until we get a better control over things. I'll imagine that'll probably last the entire fall semester. So if there are community members that are still coming on campus, when I do see them, I wear my mask and I say, hey, there's a concern about exposure. Could you please, wait until later in the fall, we can revisit coming back on campus. And usually folks are fine, and that works out great. But yes, campus is closed to outside visitors right now. And we have new marquees up on 12 on north and south side by the entrances saying the campus is closed. If we see one of our community members on campus, please very friendly, ask, let them know, hey, campus is closed, just for everyone's safety. Could you please give us some time? And I think they'll be very respectful in response. How does the core eat on the weekend? My son's card only says dinner, no breakfast or lunch. So that would mean they go to the Pick 5, which is 7 days a week, which is a very nice meal option. And there'll be other options too. I will say that your core son will be told where he can eat, but he'll get the full meal option. It's not, no one's going to be starved or denied food. The only time we're going to turn people away is when they come at not their appointed meal time, and they're going to, if letting them into the chow hall violates the density requirements. So we're able to take 65 into the dining hall, which is actually much larger than that. Obviously, it's how we always feed everyone in mass. If we let 68 or 75 or 80 people in there, the state will not tolerate that, and they will tell us we can't stay open anymore. So that's why, right? But if the way we did them, we have 6 people full time taking individual student schedules and deconflicting it with meal times to make sure everyone has a chance to get into the chow hall at the right times. And if they can't get into the chow hall, they're given the option to do it at a different time, or they can always get the grab and go, or that Partridge Pick 5 is a very, very strong option. And that gets them the calories required, and they have several options of what they can grab. So I encourage you to, have your son work through the different options that are out there. And I'm afraid the word wasn't out aggressively enough of the different options, and we'll make sure the word gets out better. And just remember, we didn't even start the fall semester yet, and we're working through this all. So we have an influx of people, and all of a sudden they all show up because they're used to doing things a certain way, and we can't do them the old ways right now. So we'll make sure your son gets fed, and 3 meals and as many meals a week in the chow hall that the schedule permits which is really not going to be dissimilar from the past. For frequency, just the times will be different. So everyone will get fed, and with the calories will be appropriate. Can fac staff buy food in the mess hall? That is a question that I've not even considered. We will publish that rule tomorrow or Monday at the latest about faculty, staff, dining options in the mess hall. I'm leaning towards not for a while until we have things stabilized, because we do not want to drive down the density numbers, right? So if we have 10 faculty and staff, that's 10 fewer students we can feed. I'm leaning towards no. I'm asking the team to take a note so we can get that answer out and vet that tomorrow. That's a very good question. Where do I get my dining sticker? So I think I said that. It's in my notes. The short of it is you get it from the card office, the student card office, and also the cadet card office, and Sodexo has the tent set up outside of the Wise Camping Center on arrival days, which includes today. And there'll be more posted. If that tent is out and you see a person there, they can get your sticker for you, okay? But your short answer is the card office, and they can get you taken care of, okay? You should have got that when you arrived, though, so it's there for you. If all students tested and negative, why is dining so restricted? So that's because the state said we can only have a certain amount of people in a room at any one time. So dining is restricted because of the densification of the dining facility. So all facilities by law, not by our local policy, can only have a percentage of what they're allowed to have per fire code. That's the formula we were given. So that's consistent, and I will tell you that our dining, I can say this with great confidence, our dining option and feeding plan for our student population is one of the most generous and aggressive in the country. A lot have just kind of thrown up thrown their hands in the air and said it's too hard, and just kind of left people to fend for themselves. So we're doing a lot to accommodate, but the answer is we have to follow the state law, and the state guidelines are very clear about how many people we can have in there. But having multiple locations, multiple feeding options is something that we're doing uniquely that is not being done elsewhere. Do you anticipate dining hall line shortening as in Norwich adjusts? Absolutely, yes. The one long line photo, like I said, was because a lot of folks had shown up and they slammed it all at once, and they didn't follow the guidelines that either they didn't know, which is very possible, or they knew and just went with what they were used to doing, which was in the past, I just showed up with my friends and we ate. But, you know, like I said, it's different now and we have to be used to it being different for now. So, yes, it'll be a lot more efficient. I mean, that's why I'm always asking for patience and empathy and everything. You know, we've not operated this campus under a pandemic and restrictive rules ever. So, well, maybe in the 19 teens, but I don't think we have a strong record of how we fed people then. So we're doing this in the most creative and efficient ways possible, and we will get better every day. So as things evolve and as we execute at a higher level, everything will improve. Okay. Lacrosse, will they have a spring season and are they practicing now? Yeah, so the lacrosse coaches are doing everything they can to keep the team going. Everyone's practicing at the level they're permitted to, and some coaches are doing more or less than others based upon their team, their season. You know, some of our athletes are dual sports, right? So then which one are they going to do? So I'm trusting our coaches and athletic staff are spectacular. So I'm trusting them to do it the right way. And from everything I've seen, they're doing it perfectly well. Sorry, I just read ahead to the next question, which is interesting. So the short of it is lacrosse, if we have spring sports and it's a spring sports that's scheduled, right now we're planning on full schedules for all spring sports. But we have to work with the conferences to make sure we'll have competition and that the NCAA won't levy different requirements on us. So the short of it is yes. And if they're allowed to practice in the fall for a spring sport, we're allowing it under the tutelage of the coaches, keeping in mind NCAA eligibility rules. So there's lots of tricks to this. Following NCAA eligibility rules is a full-time job, and thank God our coaches do it wonderfully. Will we have a competitive ski and snowboard team at Norwich? Isn't that interesting? Somebody's writing furiously. I honestly don't know. I neither ski nor snowboard. I've tried both, and I'm not good at either. But I know we have some folks that do very well. That is something we will leave up to the athletic department. If you have a desire to do that as a student or a student athlete, please bring that up and let's see if we have the ability to do it. I don't know the answer to the question, so I'm not going to muddle through it, but I will say if it's something we want to do and we think it's practicable, then I would say we can certainly consider. Sorry, I'll go faster. Can a commuter student wait until 8:29 to begin taking the daily assessment? Correct me, room friends, but they take the daily assessment when they're going to come on campus. So yes, you can wait till the 29th. Anyone want to correct me on that? I'm getting all nods. Yes, if you're a commuter student, anytime you come on campus, you must do the daily assessment. So if you don't have a purpose to come on until the 29th, then yes, that's fine. Will commuters be tested for COVID-19? I would say that our testing regimen right now is only for our on-campus student population, and that's the current standard. The symptoms that we are asking you to self-identify, or as you're coming through the campus and we're doing temperature testing, that will cause us to dial things back if that happens. Can students order from Grubhub, which I think the extended question is, if you're ordering from Grubhub, does that mean we can accept deliveries on campus? So the answer is not yet. Okay, we're trying to work with local restaurants and vendors about delivery options, but we can't have food being delivered onto the dorms because then we're bringing people from off campus on, which is breaking our campus lockdown. What we want to do is figure out some hotspot options where a delivery person can come to the Milano Ballroom, for example, yell out, order for Anarumo. I'm Anarumo. They drop it, they leave. I come and grab my food and walk back up. We want to restrict the amount of people on campus. That's the whole point. So the answer is not yet. We can reevaluate that after the 8th of September reeval based on our numbers. So that's the answer. Can students leave campus for religious services? Not yet. Not until the 8th of September. Now, we do have services offered through our chapel, through our wonderful Reverend Wick, and he did show me where he's bringing in interfaith professionals to the chapel. So we will provide as much as we can for religious services for our students. And We will revisit that at the September 8th relook. How do you get the mailing addresses for our students? The students all are given that upon arrival, yes? Yeah, your student, if they're here, has their mailing address. I'm laughing because when I'm in past jobs, I would physically force people to call their parents, even from overseas. I can't really do that here anymore, but your student has their mailing address, and I'll just tell you that they have it. And if they're not sharing with you, you can send me a note, and I'll encourage them to do so. How long does it take to get student test results? The answer is 24 to 48 hours. It depends. We were getting them very quickly. I don't want to set it on a reasonable standard because we were early to the process, but we've been getting them turned very quickly. So it's within 48 hours is the short answer to the question. Can my cadet become a commuter? So this came up last time. So cadets can be commuter students. They might be restricted on what they can and can't do, is what we decided. But if they're a cadet, they just have to make sure they're participating in all the rules. It's a lot easier to be a cadet on campus, obviously, because they have early morning formations and things like that. But the short answer to the question is yes, you got to work that out with their individual companies and commandant's office. Are full-time faculty required to wear a uniform while teaching online? So yes, the publication came from my office today, which is the standard timeline for releasing the uniform policy. If a faculty member is going to be in front of students, they're required to wear the uniform, whether in person or remote. How will money be on my student cadet card upon arrival? Can I preload? I believe the answer is yes. Looking at our CFO. Yeah, it's all on the website, so you can preload money onto a cadet card via the website. Very good. If you're having trouble finding the right area on the website, I know that can be doing the same thing for my daughter who's going to another school out of state. It was impossible for me to navigate, but if you need help, just call the bursar's office or any one of our wonderful offices to help walk you through it. Will quality of food improve? So I think I covered that in the beginning. I've eaten there a bunch of times. It was quite good, but like I said, we're at the 76%, 78th percentile. We're at the 76th percentile for customer satisfaction. And that's up. It's gone up every time we do the survey, the number goes up, and this is since we hired a new chef. So the answer was, will the quality of food improve? The answer is yes, because we're getting better every time. But if your student has, or if you're a student, if you have suggestions, make sure you're using that committee that's formed by the students to advise the dining facility. Oh, shoot, we're almost out of time. Okay, last couple. Are these similar or same? Okay. Okay, I'm going to fast as I can. Basically our contractors that work on campus tested, including Sodexo? The answer is yes, they're required to be tested for COVID. Should we be concerned about student leaving at night? No, because they're not supposed to. And if they do, they're going to be dealt with. And this is the thing. If students are leaving at night and breaking the rules, they're in danger of closing the school. And that's probably a good place for me to spend an extra minute or two. When I talked about the current health of our students, faculty, and staff, and I said we're all very tired, but we're happy to have students back. And we're also very proud of how we're handling the opening compared to other schools, especially. We haven't had to lay people off, furlough, or do other things of austerity. If students don't follow the rules and we have to close the campus, we're in a whole different ballgame. And to behave with that level of selfishness and lack of integrity would be very concerning to me. So should we be concerned with students leaving at night? I'm not a fool. I know some of them are tempted. I hope they're acting in a professional enough way to know that that would affect the livelihood of hundreds of people, and they should not do that. We're trusting them to behave responsibly. And if they don't, we'll have to get their attention. But I'm counting on them to do this right. There's a question about junior ring ceremony. I've heard that before. We'd like to get that to you somehow. We will work with the commandant's office to make sure you have a junior ring ceremony if you're a senior who missed it, and that are current. We want to get you caught up in all those ceremonies. We'll figure out the right way to do it. Okay, sorry. That's really it, Dave. I got to leave real fast. What is happening with hockey? Will football practice in the fall? I think I answered to that. The coaches are all handling it. We want hockey to go badly. Ice is going down. Ice will stay down. We're going to try to get hockey and other winter sports executed. It's going to depend on how well we do in the fall. Everyone helps, we're going to be all right. Should my cadet look into a local ROTC program? Well, yes, of course. I would love that. They should. And yeah, ROTC is wonderful. I'm a product of ROTC. We got 2 minutes left. Okay. Whoa, this is good. I'm looking at Kathy Murphy here. Will there be a central location for parents to view photos of activities? We're working on that, and we will have a plan, and we'll figure that out. Service Academy is doing a pretty good job at that. We'll figure out a way to capture those activities and let you hop on. It becomes an interesting sport. My son was a cadet at the military academy. Last one. It was, you just hung around on the website and you look for glimpses of your kid. I understand that that's very appealing. We will figure that out and we will post that link as soon as we can. How many students participated in the Sodexo survey? It doesn't give you the end. Actually, it's on here, but it's too small. It was several hundred. I can tell you that. It was a lot. Our campus, Coraliers, thank you. Sorry, spelled pen. And vocal music class for credit expected to meet. I have heard enough around campus that I believe they are. Now, how the individual instructors and mentors are going to pull that off, I don't know yet, but those are things that we expect to go, if that answers your question. All right. In closing, I'm sorry about the questions we didn't get to, but that was a lot. I went as fast as I could. I've been told I have to slow down my diction, so I'm trying my best, but I have to at least make sure everyone can hear me. Okay, a couple of things I want to get through in closing. The next town hall will be September 3rd at 1700. We owe you some information. The team wrote down some questions. We'll make sure we get to them. We'll give you the next batch of updates and the status, and by then we should know our fall numbers with some finality. Upcoming events, we have Convocation on September 1st. Parents, alums, employees, everyone's invited to join in the virtual event. The links will be posted very, very soon. Homecoming is only 6 weeks away. It's going to be a virtual event. We're calling it From the Hill to Your Home. I've seen some of the programming. It's going to be great. We'd rather have you here, but we can't. So we're going to do as much as we can, and it looks very strong. So please plan on it. It'll be alumni.norwich.edu. If you go to that website, alumni.norwich.edu, you'll see the schedule of events and the details. Parent and family weekend will be virtual events, and we're planning that right now to make it special for all of you as much as we could possibly do. Just how we're going to unify the student body. You know, we haven't forgotten about our remote students. We're going to be reaching out, making sure they're well taken care of. Counseling Wellness Center, like I said, we plussed up by 2. And we'll make sure we're proactively reaching out to make sure our remote students are being supported well. Some of you have shared your thank yous. I can't tell you how much that means. We're working very hard. A casual thank you to an individual on campus that's doing something special, even when you're driving around, goes a very, very long way. Someone sent me a whole box of cookies from Amazon. Delicious. Oops, someone just looked at me. Why they didn't get any? I'll give you some after. Well, I'm passing them out. Thank you for that very thoughtful gesture. I got this mother from Massachusetts sent me this very beautiful card. Her son is a senior and includes St. Barbara, who's a patron saint of artillery, which is awesome, and including a medallion. So this will stay in the president's office forever, but very beautiful note and very thoughtful, and I really appreciate that very much, and I'll share that with the team. You know, we're doing very well, like I said. There are stories every day. Look in the media. Other colleges are not, but you should be very proud about what we're doing as an institution. You know, we appreciate your support. Whoever you are out there that has influenced how we're able to do this successfully so far, I just want to express my personal gratitude to all of you, even if you're supporting someone who's working at the school. Thank you for enabling us to get to this level of excellence. Just a last reminder, social media does not help. If you have concerns, let us know. But also, please, if you're a student, you know, advocate for yourself. Come out and, you know, raise your voice, and let's use the system and use your chain of command to get some stuff fixed. If you're a civilian student, let's use your RA and your mentor system to get some stuff addressed. We'll take care of you. The whole point is that we get through this together. You know, we can and we will, but we got to take care of each other. We got to look after each other. And I really look forward to seeing all of you, however we can, virtually, but hopefully in person very soon. And, you know, hopefully we get to get through this as quickly as we possibly can. So with that, I will say good night. I look forward to seeing you on the 3rd of September, if not before. Norwich together, Norwich forever.